Ankita, we are live.
All right. Okay. Good evening, viewers. I hope all of you are keeping in good health. On behalf of Team Anajori, I, Ankita Roy, would like to welcome you all on our Sunday talk. And today we'll be talking on education. For those viewers who are new to our platform, Anajori is a non-profit organization founded by Milind Doctor in 2017. The objective of this platform is to connect, engage, encourage, and promote various initiatives of different kinds that are striving for social change, honing leadership skills, and building entrepreneurship in Assam and other northeastern states. For the past few months, we have been engaging with our mission through our virtual platform where we invite individuals of high appellation from various fields to share their journey of achievements and success stories to make believe that everything is possible, to learn from their success and struggle, thereby understanding that everyone fights through various obstacles to reach to the summit of success. And today evening, it gives me immense pleasure to share with you all that we have today with us Ms. Khushbu Kumari and Ms. Niyati Saxena from Alomora, who helps the youth to make a wise and informed decision about their career with their diverse programs on education. Khushbu, who has remained a student of Delhi University, holds a rich experience of more than 5 years now of working in the educational sector with the young adults. Whereas Niyati Sharma, who has done her engineering from Rajasthan, has worked at the Tata Consultancy Services and has later joined Alomora with regard to maximize the scope of education. I welcome Khushbu and Niyati to today's talk show.
Thanks, Ankita.
Thanks, Angita.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much. Um, well, when we talk of education, uh, in education, there is always a means and an end. An educational process always includes a teacher and a learner, without which, if one is not there, education would never be complete, right? So, you have been engaging with education, with its various scope, with its various maxims of teaching, right? So, to begin with, how did the idea of Alomora emerge? Khushbu, how did it start? I mean, where did its seeds begin to grow? Can you please share with us?
Sure. So, Alohomora Education Foundation was started by Mr. Divakar Sankla and Ms. Parinita Jain, and they both were Teach for India fellows in Delhi's government schools. Both of them were posted in Delhi government school. They taught second and third grade students. And during their fellowship, they realized that there is a lot of gap between the youth who are 13 to 16 years old. There are a lot of organizations, lot of NGOs working with the younger kids to enable them to begin their learning with. But there are a very few organizations who are working with the teenagers who are feeling very confused, who don't know what to do next. And there is a study also which said that more than 30% of the students, like only 30% of the students get employability after 12th grade when they pass out. And they researched a lot, and they also did a lot of experiments in Sangam Vihar community of Delhi and in Ayanagar community of Delhi. They actually talked with the students who are graduating from class 12th about what they are doing and from where did they get to know what to do, which courses to do. And they realize that there is a need to work with these students because they have a lot of potential, but they don't have the right guidance and they don't have the right structure to think to begin with, like what exactly they want to do. So then together they came up with the idea of starting Alohomora Education Foundation. And Alohomora is a spell from Harry Potter movie series, and the meaning is unlocking, like when you unlock the doors. So it is Alohomora unlocking minds and enabling young adults to achieve what they want.
Right, right. So, along with Khushbu, does Niyati's journey of starting Alomora resound? Is it the similar?
So Ankita, as Khushbu mentioned, that Divakar and Parinita co-founded Alomora, and Khushbu joined Alomora, I think, in 2017, I think, and I joined Alomora in 2019. But I think both of us have been Teach for India fellows, and both of us have been motivated by the education space, like seeing our work and its impact in the education sector during the fellowship. I think both of us were quite motivated enough to continue this throughout our lives. So for me personally, I taught while during my fellowship, I taught 9th and 10th graders. So I was quite close in connection with the young adults age group of the students that exists in our surroundings. So I could see very closely the challenges they face. How difficult was it to choose a subject stream after 10th grade? How difficult that choice becomes, given that there is no context of basing their decision upon. Like they do not know what would commerce bring to their life, what would arts bring to their life, or what would science do. So how can these
Okay.
how can these decisions, impact their lives, and how do you make that choice, was a big question. So I had the opportunity to work closely with the young adults. So that is what motivated me to join Alomora, because like Alomora, we also work with the same age group of the kids. Like we work with 11th and 12th graders very closely, and help them make a better choice. So that is what created that spark, and click that right for me, that this is the place that I want to work. Yeah.
All right. So all this while we were trying to know both of your journeys. How did it start? How did it evolve? Where were the seeds planted? Now, if we move on further, uh, please tell us, what does Alomora do, and in particularly Alomora's impact on the youth in today's India, right? What does it actually do, particularly influencing the minds of the young adults?
Yeah,
Hmm.
sure. So I think I can start and then Niyati, you can add.
Sure.
So, Alomora, as I shared, we work with 11th and 12th graders who are about to pass the school, and we work on three levels. The first level is self belief, where a student starts feeling that he or she can achieve something, doesn't matter, like marks doesn't matter that much. And then the second level is self awareness, how much I know about myself. Do I really need to do that course what my relative is saying, or do I have some another interest? Do I want to explore different things? And the exploration also comes in this phase, the second one, the self uh, awareness one. And the third one is when they actually graduate from class 12, how they are connecting with the correct opportunities. And because there are a lot of people, lot of organizations who come and they tell students to join their courses, but how can a student evaluate like which exact course they want to join? So we work on these three levels, and there have been a lot of stories from there that we would like to share later on. And Niyati would like, I think Niyati, you can add
I
details
think
to.
yes, I would definitely would want to add to what Khushbu said, but I think Khushbu, if you can also share some one of the stories right now. I think this might be a good moment to just share one of the stories, maybe Damini's or someone. Yeah.
Yes, 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 sure. So I would like to share Akash's stories. And we have a student, Akash, when he was in 11th grade in a government school, he used to play cricket a lot. And he was like a rowdy student, like, bullying everyone. And I know everything, I can achieve everything. And he would not listen to the facilitators who are there. But Alomora does not work like that. We will scold you if you don't listen to us. We try to understand from where they are coming. So we talked to Akash. We tried to understand his interest, and he used to say that he wants to be a cricketer, but he doesn't know the path to be the cricketer. So then throughout after spending a lot of time with him, we realized that he has a keen interest in fitness. He wants to remain fit. So then we invited him that can you do a marathon, like why don't you prepare for a marathon? So then first time he got to know about what our marathons are. He prepared himself. He used to run at 4 a.m. before coming to school, etc. And then he ran 21 kilometers, I think, in within 2 hours he completed that. And then he became like, his self belief came back that I can do something, matlab. And then we connected him after 12th. We connected him with an opportunity with Krav Maga Institute in Chhatarpur, and now he just passed grade 12 in 2019, and now he is a self defense instructor, and he's getting paid for it, and he has 4 or 5 classes a day where he goes to different students and teach that. So yeah, this is one of the many stories. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
So yes,
so yeah, please, Niyati, please go on.
I think Ankita, if you have a question, please go ahead with that question. I might collaborate that.
Okay, that's okay. If you were saying something, please go ahead.
Okay. So like the story that Khushbu mentioned of Akash's, so the exists around us, and specifically to the Delhi environment, is that there are only few very small percentage, 3 to 4% of children who pass out from Delhi government school who actually end up into regular colleges. And for the rest of them, the only pathway after 12th becomes an open college, which, like all of us know, does not give any value academically or provide any hard skills to the children. So what do they do during, so and and if there is any career choice that they make after 12th, and if in case it becomes a wrong choice, which becomes a wrong choice for 40 to 60% of the people, there is very less chances for them to go back and make another choice, because in the context of government school children, they have limited time and limited money at their hands. So this is what we work at. Like if we can, if I would refer to Akash's story, that if the kids are given that exposure and the experience of a career of an industry while being in 11th and 12th, their first choice after 12th becomes an informed choice. So they are more likely to continue on that career path, enjoy that career path, and make meaningful careers out of it. So this is what we work at. Yeah.
So on this note, when we were speaking of young adults, or rather adolescents, right? 11, 12 students are still adolescents. So when they do not have a choice, or they are confused with making the right and wise decision regarding their career, so do you hold any counseling sessions as such, or do you have any programs as such which helps them in making the informed decision about their character, about their future growth of personality, of their own individual growth of character, of their career growth, any such curriculum based teaching that you have in Alomora?
Yes, quite an important question. So one of the key beliefs that we have, we have at Alomora, is that you learn only after doing it. So we are not a career counseling program. We are not a vocational training program also. What we do is, like, as very evident from the example that Khushbu also shared, we uh, ask kids to experience that industry, do it themselves. So what a program basically looks like, the three parameters that Khushbu shared, like confidence, exposure, and self-awareness. So what we do is that we have divided our program into different industries that which exist outside, exists in the world after you pass 12th. So there are some industries that the kids can explore, make a choice. So for example, for Akash, that industry became fitness industry. So you experience some industry of your own choice. So if it is art that I want to explore and want to make my career in, can I make can I know more about art, and how can I be more confident that yes, this is the career for me. So kids get to do those projects, they make regular arts, they get to take feedback from the experts who are already working in the field, and upskill themselves in the same industry, so that they are more ready after they get out of 12th. So one is this, and second is getting an exposure of that industry itself. So regular conversations with the industry experts so that they can know that what careers exist in art. So if I am interested into art or say fitness, what is a, how can I build my fitness myself, how can I build those skills myself, and b, how can I be more aware of what careers exist outside. So this is what our program is about: making a choice, experiencing that choice yourself while being in 11th and 12th, and also getting an exposure to various careers that exist, so that the first choice that you make after 12th is an informed choice. So if after after this program you realize that art is not for me, like I am not good at art, or the careers that exist in art is not something I would want to do all my life, then this might be a right time to switch and explore something else, rather than spending some time and money after 12th and then making a different choice. So yes.
So what I could understand is both Khushbu's and yours elaborate on how Alamura operates, on particularly on education and making informed career decisions,
Yes.
is based completely on positive reinforcement. Unlike other mediums of teachings or other mediums of institutions, what generally happens is negative reinforcement. That is, you are given a certain amount or a certain degree of certificate if you achieve a certain grade of marks, and then if it reaches its summit, then the student can go on further. But if at all he or she fails, then their academic career, however, comes to a halt there. But what Alamora does, what I could understand is, you particularly base yourselves on positive reinforcement. That is one of the most important maxims of teaching, in particularly in the educational sector. Well, when we're talking about guiding the students in the right direction, so can you talk a little about the curriculum that you follow, or do you have any such programs in collaboration with the government that helps you to move further or move ahead with their programs, in particular in education? Can you please elaborate on that?
Sure. So I think your question covers two things, Ankita. One is
Yes.
what is the curriculum that we follow, and how do we collaborate with government. So I think the how do we collaborate with government is something Khushbu expertise in. Khushbu closely works with the government of Delhi, and there are various programs that we help Delhi government to conduct for the kids. So I think Khushbu can talk more about it in detail. Regarding the curriculum that we follow for the kids in our program is designed by us only. So we design the program in within the organization, and we do this with collaboration, or after talking to different experts of different organizations of different industries. So currently we're offering 10 industries for the kids to explore. So they make some choice initially. So we have designed some tools through which self-assessment tools through which kids can understand which industry are they more interested into, so that they can begin their journey of exploration. And they get to, like, they explore one or two industries together if they would want to, or one industry in detail, by doing those projects, like talking to experts on a frequent basis, and then making a choice for themselves. So this is the whole curriculum is designed internally, like by our team. And regarding the collaboration with government, I think Khushbu can talk more about it.
Yeah, sure. So, Ankita, we are working with Delhi government's project called Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum. And this entrepreneurship mindset curriculum is running in all 1,000 government, Delhi government schools for 9th grade to 12th grade students. Like daily, they have one period of entrepreneurship mindset curriculum, EMC. And in this project, SCERT Delhi, this body is working with a lot of NGOs, with a few NGOs, with some mentor teachers. They have a team, and we are part of that team. So what I will speak a little about what is entrepreneurship mindset curriculum and how it is helping students. So the program is about three things: experience, inspiration, and reflection. So in experience, students experience about developing a entrepreneurship mindset. So it doesn't matter whether you become an entrepreneur or you do a job after 12th, but what mindset do you have? Can you do problem solving, and can you take risk? Can you speak confidently? So all these elements are the themes of this curriculum. This is the part of experience. So we are developing, and we developed teacher manuals where they have chapter for each of the themes, that includes 2 activities and 1 story, and the teacher has to conduct these activities with the students on daily basis. And the second part is inspiration, where students actually interact with the outside audience, like the people who are outside from their school, the people who they don't know directly. For example, there is a part of career exploration where they interview a lot of people around them. For example, they'll go to a dispensary and interview people, like what kind of job is this, what course did you do, and what are your strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes they will go to a stationery shop and try to understand what he does. And the other part is live entrepreneur interactions, where the government is trying to bring entrepreneurs to the classrooms directly. And they get a period where an entrepreneur is sharing his or her journey, and talking about their failures also, and not only successes. Because sometimes students, whenever they see some outside person, they feel ki, oh, like amazing life this person has, and I want to be like that person. But they need to understand the path also, the journey also. So during COVID times, there have been some innovations also, like how these entrepreneurs will interact with the students. And the third very important part is reflection. How can they reflect on their experiences? How can they discuss questions in small groups about what did they learn, and where they felt they could do better. And there are different questions according to the themes, where students just ask each other, and uh, can be vulnerable and speak about themselves properly. So this is the curriculum we are supporting Delhi government.
All right. So the curriculum seems to be actually very kind of reflexive in manner, and it kinds of incorporates many important things that our traditional system of education is deprived of. Because in the traditional school system of learning, the system in which we have grown up is deprived of such diverse curriculum, is not it? No, that is why maybe because of the generation gap, because of the advancement in technology, now things are evolving, things are changing, and all thanks to people like you, Khushbu, Niyati, and all the team members who are actually fostering such kind of education. Well, when we were speaking of curriculum, you spoke about the most 3 important things that your curriculum comprises of, and it specifically focuses on kind of developing the young mind to a very matured one, to make right and informed choices about their career. Well, do you want to talk about any of your projects that you have started or that you have done in the past that have actually helped? Of course, you have shared few stories as of now, but are there any projects that you have conducted, or any webinars that you hold that have actually reached out to the masses, that have actually kind of brought young minds or young adults into your kind of curriculum or into Alamora? Can you please talk about it in details?
Yes, sure. So I think I can start with sharing about the webinars we did with the students of all Delhi governments together, like how we brought lakhs of students together to watch one webinar. So it is related to live entrepreneur interactions, part of entrepreneurship mindset curriculum. So the pandemic gave us the chance to bring entrepreneurs across the globe, because during the school times they have to be near the school, or they have to be in Delhi only, and they can visit students. But pandemic allowed us to bring entrepreneurs like Miss Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Sudha Murthy ji, and founder of HCL, Arjun Malhotra ji. So students interacted with 14 entrepreneurs, like really renowned entrepreneurs, uh, and there were some government school alumni entrepreneurs who interacted with the students. And the purpose of these interactions were not only about like where they are sharing. It is a space of interaction where students can ask any questions to them. So the format looked like that. In 5 to 10 minutes, they will share about them, and then students will take over and ask different questions. And in each webinar, a different set of students participated, and they were live on SCERT Delhi YouTube channel. And we got like 2,000 to 5,000 students live, and then these videos got average 35,000 views per video, and they are still there. And now what we are doing, taking this forward, we have created small videos out of those webinars, because there have been internet issues with the students. They cannot watch full session, and sometimes it is a little boring also to watch 1 hour session. So we are trying to take out the main learning in 5 minutes video, and now we are planning to circulate it among all the students of Delhi. Yeah.
So,
Niyati can also add.
please.
Yeah. So in terms of what project we do, we are also in a stage of in a very early stage of our organization. So there is a lot of experimentation that continues to happen. I'm sorry, the electricity is not there currently, so my video might not be yeah. So so a lot of experimentation keeps on happening in our organization, and in terms of so the core of the curriculum remains the same: exploring industries and experiencing it, meeting external people. Now what we are also trying, after all thanks to COVID, we are also switching it virtually, and now we are trying to create a virtual platform where kids can go to and assess themselves, and go through the whole process themselves. So this is something that we are working on currently, and it's still under progress. And but yeah, and regarding the impacts that exist, in the last 2 years that I have been working with Alomora, one very important aspect of impact that is very visible during the program is the increase in confidence that a child states in himself or herself. So whenever we do an endline assessment, so there is a baseline and an endline assessment that we conduct to understand what impact we have had on the kids. We have always seen a good amount of shift in the confidence of children. Like, there are always an increased number of kids who say that they are now more confident in talking to people, in understanding themselves, in asking questions to people. So this is something that we very clearly have seen over the last few years that we have been working with the children. And regarding the career impact, like as Khushbu shared the story of Akash, I think there have been now more than 50 to 60 students who are now pursuing an opportunity which is aligned to their interests, which is aligned to their own strength, and they keep getting back to us, sharing their stories from their work. And it has been always a pleasure to meet them and listen to them. Yes, so I think this is what I would add, I wanted to add to Khushbu's answer.
Right. So Alomora particularly kind of operates in certain areas of Delhi, or are there any future prospects of actually putting an extension to your operational formulas, or kind of incorporating more in its gamut, kind of extending your way of teaching, kind of extending your way of promoting education. Now, what I believe that what you are doing is actually doing value-based education. No, education can be imparted by any person, as in teaching directly roting from the textbook. But when as individuals, or as when young people like you are actually fostering young adults, actually molding their minds in a way to actually look into the world from a different perspective, from a larger perspective, not only from the perspective of vocation, not only from the perspective of earning money for bread and butter, but then growing yourself, building oneself, so that one can actually face the hurdles in life, no matter what situation they are in. That is what I believe. You are actually fostering the minds of the young adults into a value-based education. So when we talk about that, do you have any future prospects of actually collaborating with other states of India, or because we're talking on behalf of Anajori, do you actually have any kind of plans to incorporate, or kind of extending your reach out in other parts of India, or maybe other parts of northeastern states?
So, Ankita, currently we are working in the government schools of Delhi and Gurgaon. So these are the two places that we're currently working with. But now that we are planning to, like we are able to visualize the program online, virtual program, and we aim to reach 1 million students by the end of 2025. So this would definitely need us to expand to reach out to more number of children. But how would that happen? Would we be expanding to different states or not? It's still unsure. Like, we haven't decided as to how do we expand and reach out to all those children. But one of the closest thing that is visible to us is reaching out to children virtually, now that all the situation has arrived, and kids are also become more um, open and exposed to the virtual medium of learning. So this is definitely a route that we would wish to explore, but expanding physically to different other locations is not something we have planned as of now. But because I also mentioned that we aim to reach out to 1 million children by the end of 2025, so this might be a possibility.
Also, I'll just add one thing to what Niyati said, that whatever activities we do with the children and like our curriculum, we are always open to share with, if someone wants to implement with their students and in their communities. So we have done that in past a few times, and it feels like really great when we see impact of our designed activities somewhere else also.
Right. So Khushbu, on this note, can you, I mean, if there are any children with special needs, or children with any kind of impairments, how does Alomora kind of incorporate them, or what are the kind of curriculum that you offer to children with special needs? I'm sure children can be of any kind, and no children should be deprived of education, right? So how does Alomora deal with that, Khushbu, or how do you incorporate children with special needs?
Okay, so till now we haven't had experienced any situation where a student has an extreme special need, and because that is a separate curriculum at all. But we have seen a lot of instances where in a classroom we always have had students who would be like more silent, or who would be more violent, right? So we always tried, there is one thing that we we are doing our fellowship model, and it really helps us to cater to all kind of students in a classroom. Because in our fellowship model, what we do, we bring the youth of their communities only, like who have passed out from the same school or who have seen the similar struggles. So they call us bhaiya, didi. So we are program managers. We don't directly facilitate students. The youth from the students who are doing open college, like who are doing graduation from open college, and they have a free time, a lot of free time, because they don't go to the college. They don't need to go to the college daily. So they do fellowship with us, and they interact with students. And they can their language is similar, and their experiences of childhood have been similar. So
Right.
in that way, we have like experience that almost all the students connect with that didi or bhaiya from the same community, and they become an inspiration for them. They look forward to be like them. They speak a lot of times. This is a moment when students realize that for being successful, you don't need to go like regular college only. If you are, you couldn't score that much, you are doing something from open college, if you do something which you really like side by side, and they
Mhm.
are also as well as contributing to the society, so they feel really inspired, and they feel connected easily, like all kind of students in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Khushbu, it is actually very much, very much satisfying to actually foster students like this, where if been there or Alomora would not have been there, these students would have been dropouts, for instance, right? What would their career would have been like, right? They would have, uh, they would not know how to swim in the sea. No, they would be like without sail in the sea. So when you were talking about uh, different instances of students being raised differently from different strata or communities of the society, I'm sure you must have come across challenges in this journey of few years now. So would you like to speak in details about those challenges? How did you face, how did you overcome those challenges, and how did Alomora grow into what it is today in 2021? Would you please like to share with us?
Yeah.
Sure. Um, I can maybe start this answering this question, Khushbu, and you can add upon the journey before I joined also. So, so Ankita, as Khushbu also mentioned, that we run a fellowship program, and the entire program that we design is actually executed by all these fellows, and this happens in the government schools, in the regular classrooms that they go to. So, and the program that we're actually doing, as you also I think mentioned, is about inculcating those values and giving them this experience to different careers, and to really look inwards and understand themselves in terms of their own skills, their interests, and their strengths. So I think one basic challenge that we usually face, because what we're doing is shifting the mindsets, and this is, I think, becomes the most challenging thing. Like a child can very easily do the projects that we have designed, or just come and interact with the expert, but what is the need to do so is something that we need to work really hard upon in the initial part of the program. So we work like for a good one and a half month. We work on building that mindset of how important is understanding yourself, how important is to collaborate with each other and work, how important is to share things openly, what is the difference between a fact and what is an opinion. So we really work on building that mindset, and I think that is the biggest uh, challenge, or task that we have at hand to even initiate the program. And post that, like currently the situation is still the situation has brought a lot of us to on the online platform suddenly, and all the kids have to use internet and mobile and all this technology. But when we used to work in the classrooms, we have seen kids who are not even able to scroll the tab up and down to see what lies ahead, like below the screen. So this is the level of digital literacy at a lot of um, places in Delhi. And so we have to work very hard on building those basic digital literacy skills, like how do you do a Google search, what keyword do you enter to get a particular result. Because if you want to we want kids to know different opportunities of a particular career. We want them to understand for themselves, them to do the research for themselves, and not just give them all the answers. This is a basic skill that you need in the current time. So this is also one of the major challenges that we face. And then running our operations in the government schools has its own set of challenges. The duration of period that we get in the classroom, exams, various schedules going on in the classroom. Suddenly you go to a classroom well prepared, like a fellow who is also of almost the same age group. He or she goes well prepared into a classroom, and suddenly you get to know that there is an online meet a meeting that all the kids have to attend, or some preparation going on for an event in the school, and there can be no class. So very like logistic challenges which
Mhm.
comes on working with the government setup. So these are something that we regularly face on a day-to-day basis. And what we have learned from all these things is, um, I think all these challenges have informed the flow of a program. How do we do what do we like what we want to do? How do we structure a program? What can be the so after every year, like when the new batch begins or the new program begins, we always we always try to shift the timeline such that we can match the timelines of the government to the best possible manner. Or we we try to add activities or methods as to how to make the program interesting for the kids to just accept the program and try doing it, even if their mindset is not yet shifted. So these are some things that we continue to do year on year, and I think this would be going on like this would go on for a few more years to come. uh, yeah, I think Khushbu can also share her thoughts about this.
I think, Niyati, you have like covered almost all the things, but I
Hmm.
will just add one interesting thing that I realized at Alohomora, that whenever someone new, fellow student, anyone who joins Alohomora and become a part of it, what we do is we ask a lot of questions to make
Hmm.
them
Mhm.
think, which is not natural for all the people. It is like, I have a query. So if a student has a query like, I want to do business, how should I do? What student expect an answer, so that they get the clarity. But at Alomora, we don't do that. We will ask another question to them only, so that the answer should come from them only. We
Right.
shouldn't preach everyone, this is right, this is wrong. Oh, you want to do this, do it like this. We don't tell. We allow them to immerse in
Probe
themselves and
questions.
find the answers.
You
So
probe questions so the students kind of
yeah,
interact. Right. Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
yes.
Yes.
So that can be like, that is interesting also, and that has been challenging also.
Mhm.
uh Ek second, give me a second. So yes, this I really want to mention, like when during our fellowship, new people join, they feel like what is happening with us, like, and sometimes they become a little uncomfortable also, but gradually they realize why we are asking a lot of questions, and why we enable them to ask questions to us also, because we feel that we can learn from each other. We are no one to tell you what to do, and we are also learning from you.
Teachers are always learners in the very first
Definitely.
place.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So can I know what is the students intake, or when does your session start for in that matter? What is the number of students that you take for
Hmm.
one academic year?
So, being a startup and having big dreams to reach out to as many kids as we want to, we always increase our number of students that we work with. We always try to work with more and more number of children. We try to work with more and more number of schools, with more and more number of fellows that we can take into our fellowship. So
Mhm.
till last year we were working with around 2500 kids across Delhi and government school, Delhi and Gurgaon government schools.
Great.
But currently this year, because of COVID, we have reduced this number to 1,000. And
Okay.
because not all kids have the access to online platforms and devices, though we also tried to provide devices to the kids who actually needed them. But
Mhm.
this year we are currently running the program with 1,000 kids. But next year so there is also a collaboration that we are working with. There is this Teach for India organization
Fellowship.
also that runs fellowship that runs. So we have
Mhm.
collaborated with Teach for India Delhi, and
Mhm.
the, the Teach for India fellowship exists only till 10th grade. So a fellow
Okay.
teaches a child till 10th grade, and post 10th grade there is no fellow that comes to the classrooms. So all
Mhm.
the TFI classrooms who are in 10th grade this year, all the kids in 10th grade will automatically transition to become Alomora students when they enter 11th and 12th. So with
Mhm.
this, we are expecting to reach out to more thousand, like around 500 to 1,000 more number of kids next year. And
Okay.
maybe year after that, we would increase our numbers uh, with more data. Like this year is because of COVID and because of all these situations, this year we had scaled down and we had focused consciously to changing our program or adapting our program to the new situation, and
Mhm.
downsizing the number of kids that we are working with. But
Mhm.
going forward, like as I also mentioned, that we aim to work with 1 million children by 2025. So we would definitely want to increase the number of kids that we work with year on year.
Mhm. All right.
Yeah. And
So what
to
is
the question about when the session starts, our session starts with the academic year only. So as soon as the kids are done with their 10th boards and
Mhm.
their 11th grade start, our program
Mhm.
also starts, because that is the key time that we get with the kids once they are also engaged into their own exams and half yearlies and everything. We also get a limited time with them. So just after they are done with their 10th boards and this curriculum starts, we also start working with them.
So Khushbu, can you please tell me about the teacher and student ratio, what it is like?
Yeah, so I think Niyati can speak about this better because I'm working with the government project.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh. So in a regular physical classroom setup, every facilitator every Alumora fellow who is a facilitator in the classroom gets to work with around 50 to 60 kids in all. So this includes two batches also, like 30 to 40 in one batch and 30 to 40 in the other batch. So
Mhm.
like this, a particular fellow gets to manage and work with 50 to 60 kids. Yeah, so this is the ratio that happens, because
Mhm.
this number is on the higher side on what is the expected teacher student ratio in a regular classroom. And this is because
Mhm.
our focus, like our mode of operation or our mode of teaching, is not a teacher teaching in the classroom. It is about peer learning, and it is about a child doing something himself or herself. So the fellows, that Alumora fellows, do not go and teach or guide. They facilitate learning of the kids. That is why we call them facilitators. So they facilitate
All
50
right.
to 60 kids. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, is there anything in your curriculum like inclusive education, or kind of that incorporates kind of particularly vocational kind of education? Is there anything in your curriculum particularly like that?
So all the projects that the kids do of different industries, they include doing something, um, to build their skill in that industry. So for example, let me give you an example for this. For example, if a child wants to build his career in say software industry, so talking to experts, we have identified that if you want to work in a software industry after 12th grade, there are two key skills that you should have built, during your 11th and 12th grades, which are logical thinking and problem solving. So the projects are
Right.
designed in a manner that they do those projects, like they get to solve puzzles regularly, they get to solve logical flows and break it down or create new logical flows themselves, so that they can build their problem solving skills and logical reasoning skills while doing the projects. So they
Okay.
similarly, all the industries have their own set of skills that the kids need to build right now, and all the projects are designed on the basis of those skills. So we do not
Right.
impart vocational training directly, but we get the kids to do something so that they skills themselves and be ready to join that industry after 12th.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Khushbu, I think we are moving towards the end of the session today. Would you like to say something or add to what she said?
I think one thing that I really want to share, that your questions really helped me to reflect on my work. Like the things I shared, I did not plan to, but now I am realizing like this, and this is what we are doing in the classrooms also. Like for example, the entrepreneurship mindset curriculum has a debate, or which is called Jaldi debate amongst the students, and group discussions. And throughout like from 2017, when I joined Alohomora, I realized that a lot of magical things have come up when discussions happen, when free discussions happen with students. And towards the end, one thing I would like to share, which can be an idea also for all the viewers, that they can do with their teachers, that on every teachers day we do a teacher student samvad. This is a event where we make 5 to 10 groups in total, and in every group there will be, for example, 5 teachers and 5 students, 5 teachers, 5 students. So they are sitting in different groups, and they play games together, and they ask questions like friends to each other. Like they would ask their teacher, ma'am, who was your favorite hero, did you bunk any classes? And teachers are asking to students like, why do you always come late, and everything. So it feels then like this samvad also is like based on discussions, like what discussions you can have together, you can have fun together, so that bridging the gap between teachers and students, that you were also sharing that we students are habitual of rote learning and being afraid of teachers. So towards your platform, I would encourage everyone who is listening that please do discussions among with your family members, talk about the taboo topics, and discuss with your friends, discuss with your colleagues. And I would encourage students to ask questions and discuss more. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that note, Khushbu, because I am myself a teacher, and I actually feel that enthusiasm while teaching, the students, that smile on their faces, the way they come and approach to you if they have any kind of doubts or anything that they want to share, that is really a boon for us as a teacher. Nothing more values to us than the students. Their their upbringing, their success, their kind of, we as teachers kind of bridging the gap between the student and the teacher, kind of filling up in the loopholes in the teaching learning process. That is what I believe a teaching sector should do. And you guys at Alomora are doing amazing job, and it was really a privilege speaking to you this evening.
Thank you so much,
Melinda,
Ankita.
Yes,
Melinda,
I'm
would you
here.
like to say?
Yes, it was really nice to know what Alomora is doing. The name Alomora is so interesting, so I was very curious, and of course, I do know a little bit what you are doing, and I'm always hoping that someday you will work with us, and because our goal is to make Northeast one of the best place in India. So Delhi had to compete with us. So anyway, so that's what one day we are hoping. And one question I have is that when you started, I find it very difficult to get first to get connected with government school. So how did it happen? How did you make sure that government school agreed to work with you? Like, how do you convince them? So any
Okay.
tips?
Yeah. So I think when we started with 3, 4 schools, and what we did, we researched about the principals a little bit in advance about from government school students, like like we were Teach for India fellows, so we had contacts in schools, and Alomora researched about like principals who are very supportive of external programs and not for profit organizations. And then in Delhi government schools, there is a body called SMC, School Management Committee. And we learned about it, and we got to know that there is a clause in that school management committee that if the committee agrees and like the idea, the not for profit can work with the permission of the committee, and the president of the committee is principal, and the vice president of the committee is a parent member. So we presented our work in SMC meetings, and we explained what we do and how will we do without impacting their schedules and everything. And we got rejections also. So out of the schools we presented, the schools who agreed and liked our idea, and this is how we began to enter the schools to work with them. And we used to take, I think, 2 periods a week, or something,
Mm.
2 to 3 periods a week, which is not much for them, because uh, they have students sometimes have a lot of free periods, etc. And some periods are allocated for activities like these only. So it is about researching about the schedule of the school, researching about the management of the school in advance, and then approaching them with the idea and the proposal. I hope
Very good.
this answered.
Okay. Yes. The other question or other idea rather, in US, I have seen that they have something called, I forgot exactly what was it. It was like a week or 10 days program where they actually have physical area which could be like a market. All right. And they get kids, and kids will come and they will say that, okay, I want to start a bakery, or I will do cycling repair, or I'm going to do a veterinary thing and whatever. And they have to really create business plan. All right. And there will be adults or business people or Rotary member basically who look through the proposal, and it's almost like real life that you actually going and starting a business, okay, for the kids. So it was a great experience for kids to know, like, what are the challenges that happen. I think they are generally kids from 14 to 16 years old. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So I haven't gone. Actually, you can go and see that. Of course, America being a first, what do you call, developed country or whatever, they have more resources. But what I heard excellent thing about that program, because it gave real life that what could be challenges and stuff like that. And I also wanted to say to Khushbu and Niyati is that North is being so far away. So certain areas we haven't developed as much as Delhi and stuff like that. We are behind. So, and many times I have seen, many times we are doing the same thing you are doing with the student who are graduate, because they are not confident in talking in front of camera, they cannot ask a question or they cannot articulate. So inviting various entrepreneurs and organized founders like you guys, I'm hoping that people can start thinking that, okay, I can also do something different. I do not have to be a doctor, an engineer, or a government service, because only thing that most people are doing is preparing for government job. They forget to realize that there's only limited number of government jobs, and there will be disappointment. So I feel that many
Yes,
people are
exactly.
wasting their time just memorizing and preparing for government job. Meantime, they could very well start entrepreneurship, because that's what India needs, that's what Assam needs.
Hmm.
you know
Hmm.
to be an entrepreneur, problem solver. We have so many issues, and specifically in Assam, where we say that, oh, this is a waste, that is a waste. In fact, so many things we are wasting, rather than solving the problem of waste management, how to deal with tetra packets, or how to deal with the coconut husks that we are throwing away, or the flowers that we are wasting in the temple, or so many. Those are waste right now in Assam, and
Mhm.
and I think we are also trying to do similar thing, except that you are doing in a younger level in this school. We are just taking this platform, trying to invite people. So hopefully that we could
Very nice.
collaborate someday. That was our hope. All the best, and thank you for joining us. And I hope that we will see again later. Back to you, Ankita.
Hmm. Like before,
Thank
Ankita,
you.
you close this session, I would just want to add to what Milind also shared. So the model that you were sharing with when the students try to enterprise themselves and you know go out there and start their own setup. This is something which we have also tried with the children, and with which we also try to do in our program. And Khushbu has also done this as a part of EMC program. So this is one of the key EMC projects. I think Khushbu can maybe add more to it, where the government asks kids to plan their own business and business model, and then actually do it out and try it themselves. So that is a I'm like, it was very good to hear when you shared, and I definitely would look forward to some possible form of engagement between us and our work and all the people of the Northeast.
Yeah. And if anything we can do virtually, please let us know.
We will try to maybe arrange something, a webinar or something like that. Let's see, in the future.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share about the work. Thank you. It means a lot.
Thank you for coming up with such noble ideas, in this 21st century where the world is filled with rage and hatred and things that are destroying our planet. Thanks to young minds like you who are actually, kind of fostering the world in a positive direction. सही बोला है किसी ने कि एक बूंद से सागर बनता है. So it starts with one individual, with that one person taking that lead and then creating a chain reaction of the goodness in the world. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll meet soon. We'll talk about all this very soon. And
Yes.
keep on doing whatever you're doing. Great job.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ankita.
you.
Thank you,
It was a
Milind.
pleasure
Thank you.
talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.